between what the app looks like on standalone versus task controller. So task controller, or sorry, standalone, you'll have this map functionality with jobs, fields, that extra functionality of that's controlled on the BiC app, where we're setting up fields, we're doing our painting from this map screen in the middle view here. If you are running task controller mode, that doesn't exist, and jobs and fields don't exist on the app. You'll just simply have these metrics panels in the middle, or metering and metrics notifications. But yeah, Dylan's going to go in a bit through this part of that applies to standalone only guys, what they'd be running on here. But for now, I'm just going to show what we just talked about in this presentation with kind of what that looks like with the actual app in front of us. But so again, these field and jobs won't exist there. You just need to make your seed plan. So we'll go through that quickly of an actual demonstration. So again, it's got a create seed plan button. You just go in there, name it if you're going to be canola. And again, you can do this all ahead of time while that unit's sitting there. Get all your crop types put in there. So once you've created its available option, then you just need to edit it. You can just edit there, or I think you just click on here to add products. So as I mentioned, you can simply toggle off these tanks that you don't want to use. So if for some reason you're not using one, when you're not using canola, you likely shut that 5th tank off unless you're using it for something else. But in this case, we'll have it on, and we'll say we want it as a single low rate product, because typically you just put canola in there. This extra capacity is if you do put fertilizer in it and want it to add to your capacity. More so for the wing tank, probably, where that more guys would be doing that with the bigger capacity. So yeah, that's the first step. Configure that, and then you just add products to it. So we've got preloaded products on the right. It shows up here. You can go through this list down here. This doesn't work great with the mouse. Oh, it's just backwards. That's weird. So put the product in, tell it it's going to go in the seed, boom. Put a rate in. And then you can manually select it or auto-optimize, but it should auto-optimize to that if it's the low rate. So simply add that, and then add extra products you need. Pretty straightforward, I think.
Hey, let's have with the one. Can you create a custom product?
Yeah, if you go add products, there's this in the create new here, so you can create a specific one.
Does it give you a cal factor for it?
I'm not sure what it does in that case, actually. Does it pull a default, or does it, you just got to calibrate it once to get the cal number? I think.
Looks meaningful. Yeah, it'll be default, and then you get a lot of that's a below precondition that says you calibrate your tank before what you were seeing. So then we ran across is if you're using task control as version, and you have, say, FOSS in seed row and FOSS in mid row, you have to name them differently. Otherwise, it's confusing. And again, so then you have to make a custom product. That's fun. I'll let the system visual blocks. Okay, just the estimate.
So yeah, I've added the 3 products, and then you can see in this tanks column, it's got what tanks it's saying those should be in to get your max area covered. So it put the canola in saddle tank, tank 5, FOSS in tank 4, and then urea in the other 3 tanks. Simple as that. And then you save that. You can, save that, and then still showing as in an available seed plan, you have to highlight and activate this. So then it'll change it to that seed plan. Does it matter if I do that on your guys' demo, or it doesn't matter?
Go for it. What happens if you change your profile? What happens to your seed plan? Sorry about
And if it matches your profile setup, it'll still be able to use, but some of them say incompatible if it's a profile that doesn't match what you're actually configured as. That's what's showing there. I guess incompatible ones would be from a different implement profile.
Before tags.
Yeah, then it can't, it's not compatible because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got active, and then now it's got that one that was in your setup is available. So you create canola, wheat, whatever crop types you do, and then once those are all created, you simply come in this screen, just highlight and activate back to that seed plan. Very simple,
It was just
intuitive, I think, but see how you guys find it.
was like
That's the seed plan setup. Again, on this left, when you're not in seeding mode, operation mode, you're in this active or idle state, then these tools are all here. So after you do your seed plan, you can come in manual meter calibration if you, still desire to do that. Some guys have stopped doing that with Dynacal, but until you're confident in it, you should probably do a calibration. Simply prime meters. They'll run for a bit. You don't actually have to stop them. Based on that meter type and cal number, it'll spin it so it thinks it fills the. You can run it a second time if you don't think it filled the flighting properly. But yeah, and then start the meters. You can stop all or stop them one at a time. And then once you've done that, hit the calculate new cal factor and put the weight in, and it'll simply calculate that and save that. So pretty straightforward. Shouldn't have a problem with that. We don't need to run through these other tools, but they're there. The transport mode, the check runs, section timing, depth control, calibration, all those tools. But yeah, like it says, setup is complete here. So once you go into begin operation, this is where that beacon alarm will beep at you for 5 seconds until it goes in saying like now you're in a mode that things can move. Same with that system check screen. If you go in there, it lets you move stuff, so it's beeping at you before it goes into that system check screen to tell you that something could move, make sure an operator's getting out of the way.
What's the quick mode in the bottom right?
That was that buttons on the keypad, special ones that you can set up, you can configure. So it's kind of in development. It's not fully determined how valuable some of those are, but you can configure. Mainly right now, like you said, the shutting sectional control off, on and off.
Technically, the manual auto, those are like workflow with buttons, so you can switch between your manual auto sectional control. Okay.
This is only in standalone mode, because then it's like you say, when you go to manual now, you got manual buttons here to shut your sections off. When you're in auto, it's ASC is on and controlling those sections. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So once you go into operation mode, you can see your tanks now are showing, and like you showed, you can expand these to see which tanks are actually there and what they're contributing to that rate. So we got 29% coming out of tank 3 and 71 out of 4 to contribute to 50 pounds target. You got your section states for that, boom. And those are saying auto, so I think manual flips that badge to say it's in that mode. And then ISO bus would be the badge when it's in task controller mode, telling you that that's coming from the task controller's setting, the states of the sections. And rates would have the similar. When it's task controller and it's coming from there, it'll have a badge saying ISO bus is telling you what this target rate should be, and you don't get these buttons here to change it because it's coming from the CNH side.
Maybe just turn tank 3 off.
Oh yeah, can do that. So tank 3 off manually, it's saying 100%. So if some guys prefer to do that for certain reasons, they want to run one tank empty and then flip it, you'd have to come in here and turn that. Actually, I don't know, does it, in that state, if tank 4 goes empty, does it kick to 3 once the empty sensor goes on 4? Yeah, kind of does it for you.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Step it off.
If these are manual controls, so if you shut them off, you have to turn it back on. You're taking the tank balancer function out of the system's hands. That's on you. So if you have this on, like they are by default, it's doing it based on the weight in those tanks, which should be the way you run it. Like unless some guys just want to do it differently, but yeah, and tank 46 has the 3 products. Similar. 51, 20, and 29 coming out of those based on the weights in those tanks. Percentage. Makes sense. So yeah, the way this is laid out, there's a boom 1, that's your seed, showing what products are. And if you had, like our other seed plan had FOSS and urea in the mid-row, then there'd be extra products showing under this mid-row boom. It's got your fan speed for that boom. Again, the middle panel metering tab is your Dynacal statuses, so it's showing that being calculated when you're running or not running right now. Metrics for those tank weight and area calculations being running, and then notifications tab. Like it's flashing a little badge there saying that there's current alarms in here that you should be checking. Like they'll come up as a mini, like a little notification right along the top here when they first come up, but when they go away, then they're just flashing saying there's something active that you can open and see them. So it's saying tank pressure is low in those tanks. That's kind of something you will see if you don't have your fans running or low fan speed.
Cool.
Saying the depth control needs to be calibrated because we never did that. This is saying missing devices because we don't have button bar alarm in the cab plugged in here right now. So it tells you that. And then again, the right panel is seen there, all those functions together. So depending on what features you have will be what shows up here. So we got brakes, you can disarm to back up. Kind of tells you it's off. Lift lower. You can push on the screen or with the button bar to manually lift that override. And these all have kind of background settings. If there is something that exists, you can go in here and change this. And then there's actually another layer with those user-specific settings of times and turning that auto lift function or auto exit function off. Simply do that, and now it'll stay in that state. It won't automatically go back to down if you don't want it to. Have to save these settings in here if you do change them. Similar to the packing has that same thing, some background settings and parameters for adjusting. So you get the hang of those, just a few things there that you can customize if you want them different than the defaults. I think you can see if that's on. Yeah, this one the one must be turned off. This one's on, so it's counting down, saying it's going to go back down in that many seconds if you have that feature on. Same with float, has that same functionality. But it shows your pressure and your pack force, but to change their preset values, you got to come in here and same bump up or down what your requested is, or flip to downforce if you're wanting to run it in that mode with controlling to the pack force instead of the pressure and adjusting it there. But then it shows what it's set or what it's at on this main screen. And then depth control functions, again, AccuSet if you have that. Those quick modes and Display settings is at the bottom for your light, more dark mode. And some contrast and volume. Yeah, it's pretty simple. I think that's the main thing. I guess we'll do a demo of the standalone with it actually running around and seeing when you hit your master button, the start seating goes into operation mode and if it was set up. Starts turning stuff. Yeah, I don't have speed, so we'll do a demo here, see that side of it. But I think that's there's questions on that kind of basic iPad operation of BiC. Any questions from anyone?
It is, Matt. One thing that I'll ask, if you go to the top there in the speed, if you click on the speed panel, you could set your manual speed. That'll be the speed it falls back to if you were to lose your GPS signal for whatever reason.
Okay.
That's the speed that's used in your seed plan recommendations. So in that seed plan view, it shows what your recommended gears are and then what kind of rates are achievable. It uses that speed.
Okay, so you want to set that to what your typical
So, yeah,
seating speed is.
roughly what you're speeding at.
Good to know, because that wasn't there when the last time I used this, I don't think. It's pretty new.
Yeah.
Was it, or was it? I just didn't know it was there. How long ago was that? It's there now, yeah. You should set that, because that'll apply to what it's thinking you're going to be running at for all your parameters, presets. Anything else?